Good morning. Sorry, my unmute button was not working. That's a sign. So maybe I should be quiet. Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Good morning.
Perfect. Good morning. I am in the middle of the North Woods of Wisconsin, which I have a friend of mine who was in Saint-Tropez yesterday and sending me pictures from Saint-Tropez in France after going to the Cannes Film Festival. I'm like, well, I'm in the Saint-Tropez of the North. That's where I am. So anyway, good morning. Happy Monday. Happy now. Good now. Good week. And excited to see you guys all here this morning. We have a fun evolution report today, and I'm going to get started without too much of further ado, because we have a big, fun, and exciting week this week. Lots of things going on here at Quantum Alignment System. And before we get started, I just want to inform you about a couple of things. First of all, if you go to our Clubhouse page, KarenCurryParker.club, you will see on that page an opportunity for you to get a written version of this week's evolution report, plus a video that goes along with it, so that you can keep referring back to it over the course of the week. You will also see on there that there is an opportunity for you to enroll in our Quantum Human Design 7-Day Self-Love Challenge. We've been doing this on Facebook and also here on Clubhouse, and we've been covering all kinds of really fun, cool topics. We'll be back here tonight at 7 p.m. Central for an open Q&A session. And in that open Q&A session, we're just going to be talking about your charts, and in particular, we're going to talk about your charts in the context of the gates. If you joined our challenge, you will have received a workbook that we created for you. That workbook walks you through each one of the lessons of the challenge. Obviously, we didn't record them on Clubhouse, but there are video replays if you want to catch those video replays, and you can follow along in the workbook. The last Clubhouse event we did here on Friday, we talked about a template that I give you in that workbook. It's a template to actually help you explore and interpret your chart through the lens of what markers in that chart teach you or tell you about your life purpose. So you can actually follow along with that template. And if you missed the Clubhouse presentation, you can watch the video for day 4. That'll also give you information and details on how to do it. But that template walks you through how do you interpret life purpose in your chart. So tonight, if you want to join me at 7 p.m. Central, bring that template, bring your workbook. You can fill it out online. It's a PDF fillable, so you can fill it in on your computer. Bring your workbook, bring your chart, and bring your gate questions, and we will be exploring how we can support you in looking at your chart and helping you understand the reason why you're here, who you are, and what you're here to do. There's, I think that's the big bulk of what's in there. If you joined the 7-Day Self-Love Challenge, you will have heard that this year we have an extraordinary event happening in September. So September 10th, 11th, and 12th in Colorado Springs, live or online. You have 2 options if you want to be part of this event. We will be hosting our annual International Human Design Conference. And I have to say, we've been doing these conferences in various forms for more than a decade now. Last year, we opened it up to the general public. We used to only do these conferences just for the people who trained professionally with me and my students. Last year, we opened it up to the general public, mostly because I had a dream, I have a vision of gathering all the top leaders in human design and bringing them together under one roof to talk about human design as a tool and how we can use human design to support and help the world evolve, which, as you know, is my big passion. So it's always been my fantasy to have people who I just respect and have deep, deep admiration for, who have dedicated their lives to teaching human design, all gathered together under one, not so much a roof, because we can't do that because because of COVID, but at least under one umbrella of a unified gathering. And we tried to do that a little bit last year, but COVID made things very challenging. This year, COVID is still challenging, but we seem to have found some workarounds better than we did last year. So this year at our International Human Design Conference, are you guys ready for this? And I still can't believe this when I say it. It's like I have to kind of fight back the tears because I'm just so awed by this. Not odd, but as in weird, but odd as in AWED. My breath is taken away. We have coming this year Richard Rudd, the creator of Gene Keys. Rosie Aronson, who does a lot of work with Richard and who has, in and of her own right, created an amazing body of work around the archetypes and art in the Human Design chart. She's the creator of the Wisdom Keepers deck and books, and also of the Designed to Blossom program that integrates art and human design. We have Chetan Parker coming. Chetan Parkin coming. Thank you. There's too many Parks in the human design field. There's Parker and Parkin. Chetan is coming. We'll just call him Chetan, who is actually Richard Rudd was originally Chetan's student. Chetan is one of Ra's original students. He has a very, very, very long relationship with human design and has now been teaching human design for longer than Ra taught human design, which is something to think about. He is the author of many best-selling human design books, including Human Design for Us All. So Chetan will be coming. Kim Gold will be coming and talking about feminine leadership and the outer planets and planetoids and the asteroids. Brynja Magnuson will be coming and talking about the amazing, beautiful artwork that she does that integrates human design and shamanistic symbols and gene keys. Robin Wynn will be coming and talking about the work that she does with human design and professionals. Evelyn Levinson will be coming and talking about the work that she does with projectors. Amber Clements will be coming and talking about the work that she does as a reflector and her new book about reflectors. And Alana Heim will be coming and talking about human design and money, and of course I'll be there. I'll be there, and I'll be the one crying, being all fangirl in the back, because I love all of these people so much, and it's just an incredible honor to teach and share with them. Betsy, our own very own Betsy Batiste, Betsy will be there leading a master alignment sequence, which is an integrated way that we use human design here at the Quantum Alignment System, where we integrate human design with the emotional freedom techniques, tapping, energy psychology techniques, subtle body therapies, flower essences, and we're going to be tapping on how to activate quantum consciousness through your chart. Sorry, I hope you guys can't hear that too much. There is a motorboat going by. I'm on the lake, and I can't really hide out because this cabin is mostly screens. Anyway, so we've got just an incredible lineup for you. You also might know that I have an online membership community, the Quantum Human Design online membership community, and in that community, all of my classes I've ever taught are hosted there. So there's thousands of hours of courses in that community that you have access to. If you join our online community at the annual level, which is $350 a year. The website for that is quantumhumandesign.com. You'll get a $200 off coupon code for our annual conference. That special lasts until Friday. So I wanted to just share that with you before we get started with this week, just so that you have an opportunity to hop on that as an option. Obviously, of course, if you don't want to join the membership, you also have the option of just coming to conference. And the website for conference is humandesignconference.com. Go check it out. And as I said, you will be able to attend conference either live, and if you want to come live, be sure you let us know right away and get your hotel room. Because of CDC guidelines, we have very limited spaces. Most full. I think we can only have 99 people in the building. And if you want to attend online, of course, you can do that too. So join us for conference. And I can't tell you, it's going to be so amazing. I'll be putting out this later this week an interview that I did with Richard Rudd a couple weeks ago. He's going to be talking about his history with human design, his sort of esoteric, mystical experience that he had with human design, which is a pretty great story. Anyway, that's what I got for you this week to start the week off. Trying to, as I said, I'm super excited about this. I can't wait. I can't wait to see all of you who come and looking club. You get all the information you need there. Also, you'll see the written evolution report for the week is there. And without further ado, let's get started. So I like to start with this sentence. I use this sentence a lot. You've probably seen me use this sentence a lot, but it's a good sentence and it's an important sentence. And it goes like this. You were born a storyteller. You're a storyteller. You are a storyteller. It's so important that you get that. You learned about who you are, your role in life, and what you're here to do from stories. Storytelling is such a powerful creative medium that as children, our brains are hardwired to learn about the world from stories. We learn about values, morality, and motivation from the stories we hear, hopefully safely tucked in our beds at night or curled up in the loving lap of a parent. Some of the stories you learned about the world and yourself were true. Many of them were not. So as you grew and you began to master the art of telling your own story about who you are and why you're here, you wove together all the things you heard. Information from the events you witnessed, tales from your own experience to help you craft a personal narrative about yourself and the world. So the stories you tell about your relationships, your money, your creative fulfillment, your lifestyle, your health, even your spiritual connection, all influence what you create in your life. The stories you tell about yourself come true, and they express themselves through your daily experience in the world. So you better be telling good ones, and you better be telling stories that are true. So your personal narrative sets the tone for your life experience and for the direction that your life takes you. And again, this isn't just about your own life. You're actually living a story within a bigger story. And actually, there's a lot of stories within stories. You're living a story within the collective story. You're living a story that sort of lives within your parents' story, that lives within your grandparents' story. I mean, we're all living in sort of little big stories and little stories that all impact and influence each other. The bigger story that you're living that you're living in is part of the story of humanity on planet Earth. I think the story right now, when we look at it, if we're not careful about what we're consuming and where we're putting our focus, the story of humanity right now can seem a little suspenseful. There's some pretty grim stories being spun out there about the future of the world. Politics, certainly on a global level, seems to be pretty divisive and inequitable. We are fighting old, outdated systems that have left many of us feeling disempowered and despairing. Storytelling doesn't seem like it could be an activist stance to take. I was having a conversation with my 12-year-old this morning. We're hanging out at our cabin in Wisconsin, which is super beautiful and rustic and quiet. And one of the things that happened at school this past year, is that a lot of her 6th grade cohorts started protesting things. And it became a pretty regular thing that at lunchtime the kids would march around with signs about racism and sexism, and at a certain point, when some of their rebellion got reeled in a little bit, they were carrying signs against the administration and the school staff. So my daughter was saying, I just don't really feel like that's my way of changing the world. I want to change the world through art and creativity. So there are lots of ways to change the world, and one of the things that I want you to understand is that storytelling is actually a powerful thing you can do to begin the process of changing the world. Your power to tell stories is actually the most radical and active thing you can do right now to make a difference in the world, because your story does matter. And it's a vital component to changing the world we live in. It might seem that you're not able to change the current reality, but if we all begin to tell a different story, and if we join our empowered stories together with others, we begin to weave a template for a different reality. We start to program our brains and our minds to see new ways of creating, We focus our awareness and we see the elegant solutions needed. And focus is a huge deal. That's part of the North Node theme, as one of the nodal themes right now. We use the sensual nature of our creative essence, and we take the time to step out of the probable, which is patterns, that's logic, right? And manifest the improbable, miracles, that promise to shift the world we live in. All because we start telling a different story, a story that is maybe more true about who we really are. This is a week that highlights the theme of storytelling and is a microcycle within a bigger planetary cycle that I've been talking about over and over and over again for the last 6 weeks here on Clubhouse. That bigger cycle encourages us to get super clear about literally writing a personal narrative that begins the process of telling the true story about who you are. That's a story that liberates you from limitations, victim consciousness, past patterns that have kept you playing smaller than how you really are and who you really are. That narrative promises to not only shift your world, but to shift the world we live in. So the planets right now are giving us a giant invitation to throw out all the stories that we've outgrown and to write a new narrative that is big enough and powerful enough to call you forward. So before we go into the weekly transits for the week, I want to revisit the nodes first, and then I want to revisit the outer planets, just so that you're equipped with a bigger picture about why your story, that personal narrative, that story that I'm inviting you and encouraging you and maybe pushing you a little bit to write, especially before October, why that story is so essential. So let's start first with a review of the nodes. The nodes set the theme, or the plot outline, if you will, for our personal and collective narrative. The South Node theme represents what we need to understand and what we need to learn in order to move into the theme of the North Node. Hold on, there's a giant spider on my phone. Yuck. Go away. The South Node, right now, the South Node, which is what we need to master, is in the Gate 9, the Gate of Convergence. So that Gate 9 is actually, it's an interesting energy. Gate 9 is oftentimes an energy that I associate with the archetype of ADD in the chart. And I say the archetype of ADD because ADD, real, true, genuine ADD, is a diagnosable phenomenon. It oftentimes manifests as a unique development in the prefrontal cortex that interferes with our ability to focus and sometimes regulate impulses and stay emotionally attuned to our environment. So I don't want to discount ADD as a real diagnosis, but it's an archetype that we kind of throw around in our culture a lot right now. We talk a lot about ADD and being ADD, and this theme of focus right now is big for us. It's big for us in a big way, and it plays out in a lot of interesting ways. One of the things that we see with focus is that focus is an essential energy for influencing time and timing. If you're trying to create something or manifest something and you're not focused, or you lose your focus, it actually can slow down the speed at which you create, because we know from quantum physics that attention and energy, expectation, if you will, creates or causes quantum particles to collapse out of their potential state into our manifest reality. So when we lose our focus or we fail to focus, it makes it difficult for us to create. Now, the Gate 9 is an interesting aspect of focus. There's actually two pieces that are essential for focus that the chart shows us. The electromagnetic, the Gate 52, also shows us or teaches us a lot about focus. So the Gate 52 is kind of like the eagle getting the big bird's eye view. It takes a big, broad, holistic understanding of all the parts of the equation. The 9 is the focus that the eagle has when they see something moving on the ground. So let's say they see a mouse or a rabbit, then the eagle knows, oh, I've got to focus down here, swoop down and grab it. You want to make sure, based on the big picture perspective, that you're pointing your energy towards the right thing, right? You don't want to be diving towards a plastic owl or a snake necessarily, although I think sometimes eagles can grab snakes. But you really want to make sure that you're, based on your understanding of the big picture, that you are also pointing your focus in the right direction. So the gate 9 really encourages us to explore the theme of focus in our lives. It really begs of us to ask ourselves on what we want to be creating. Are we putting our energy where it needs to go? Or are we getting lost in the forest because of the trees? It invites us to ask, are there things in our environment or in our relationships in particular this week that distract us from our focus, and what can we do to improve our focus? So this is kind of what we have to tackle in order to move into the North Node theme, the gate 16, which is the gate of zest. So we've got to get our focus in place, and once we have that focus in place, then it unleashes zest, enthusiasm, excitement. That gate 16 tells us that when we focus and we narrow our attention, we regain our enthusiasm for life and for our creative process because we're not distracted, right? We actually can tap into a certain amount of energy and impetus. If we allow our zest for a creative process to override our, to be focused, right? If we've got zest, we've got focus, then what that does is it gives us the energy to override any fears of inadequacy that we might have, because that's the electromagnetic to the 16, right? So when we have focus and we've really unified our energy because of the focus, then we have enthusiasm and zest, and that enthusiasm of zest allows us to override the fear of inadequacy and any of those fears that we might have that keep us from taking the risk of jumping in. It allows us to move into a space where we trust that we'll know what we need to know when we need to know it. So this is kind of, the nodes sort of set the plot outline, if you will, for the overall story that we're living in. And so right now that plot outline says, we got to take stock of what's going on in our life, really get clear about what we want, make sure we're putting our energy and our focus there, and from that focus, we then get the momentum necessary to override all of those places where we think we don't know enough, where we think we're not ready, where we think we're not skilled enough, trained enough, brilliant enough, etc. And it allows us to push past those limiting beliefs. Now let's talk about the outer planets. So the outer planets, which I would consider Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, hold the energy for the bigger picture of what we're exploring collectively. So the outer planets help us fulfill the themes of our more personal planets. So the more personal planets, I consider them to be the Sun, the Earth, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So when we look at all these planetary placements, we get a big picture of what's up on the planet, and we get sort of with it the instructions, if you will, for what we need to do on a personal level to fulfill the evolutionary agenda put in place by the slower moving planets. So the slower moving planets, those outer planets, really hold in place the structure or the outline is a good word, the outline for our evolution, and we do the work on the faster moving planets, the personal planetary placements, to support our collective evolution. So we're in a major planetary cycle that is basically, and as I said, you've heard me say this about 1 billion times in the last few weeks, it's basically asking us to write a new story. It's asking us to really go deep into what we need to rewrite, recraft, retell, so that the story we're telling about who we are changes the course of our own personal lives and ultimately changes the course of the collective. So yeah, it's a really interesting cycle because multiple planets and more planets as we move towards October, more planets are going to go in a retrograde station. So it's just a major, I like to call it a retrograde-a-palooza is happening. So we have all these retrograde cycles that we're in, which really puts us knee-deep in a retrospective and contemplative process that's calling on us to revisit and review the patterns of the past. So we're being called out by the planets, especially Pluto, to be honest with ourselves about what actually happened, and from that place of honesty and transparency, begin the process of healing the dark karma of what was done. The theme is truth, and I say truth with a capital T, and finding the bigger gifts and a more aligned future direction that's rooted in rewriting our collective narrative honestly and making restitutions if necessary and reparations if necessary for the sins of the past. Again, both personal and collective. So you may know, because I've talked about this a lot too, I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn. I miss Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was brilliant. And Jim Rohn used to say, if you're broke, don't tell yourself you're not broke. Take yourself into the bathroom, look yourself in the eye in the mirror, and tell yourself, I'm broke. Because it's from that place of honesty and truth that we can actually begin to craft something different. Craft forward momentum that is genuine and empowered, because you're not dealing with fantasy and the blurring and the obfuscation of reality. We have to be honest. That doesn't mean you aren't delusionally confident about the future. That doesn't mean you're not creating with hope and optimism and faith as you move forward. It means that for us to know how to point our creative power, we have to be honest about where we are. And that's a big, big theme that's coming up all over the place with all of these big outer planets. They're all saying, whoop, hold up, stop lying, stop being dishonest about what happened, stop covering it up, let's get real, let's be honest, let's tell the truth. Let's not judge each other for it. Let's not be angry for it. Some of what happened in the past we actually didn't do personally, but we have to be honest about it because it is part of our lineage. And if we're going to rewrite or recraft or point ourselves in a different direction, it has to be rooted in honesty, because that dark underbelly will just keep repeating itself over and over again if we don't shine a flashlight on it and get real. So this isn't personal, and that's an important piece to understand. It's not personal. It's a collective. It's a collective retrospective, and it's essential for us. If we're going to tell a story that supports us in creating a just, equitable, abundant, sustainable, and peaceful world, we have to start first by cleaning up the pain from our past messes. Otherwise, we're just going to keep dragging it forward and repeating it over and over again. And the beautiful part is the planets have really basically given us this giant cosmic flashlight and said, whoa, look at this. Take a good stock of this, because you don't want to do this again. You're done with this. We're all done with this. We don't want to murder people anymore. We don't want people to be in poverty anymore. We don't want people to not have access to health care anymore. We don't want people to struggle anymore. We want to build a different world. And if we want the world to be different, we have to tell a different story. And we can't tell a different story if we don't also take with us into this future narrative our understanding of those weaknesses and those foibles and those pains and transgressions of the past, so that we don't do it again. We make it right. We increase the possibility that we're not going to drag it with us for another generation. So that's our big picture thing. So the outer planets are encouraging us to connect to bigger truth. They're encouraging us to connect to the flow of pure potential and source. And, this is our electric connection to life's intelligence. This is not just a cognitive experience. This is about surrendering and tapping into what is true about being a human. So our awareness of this intelligence is a connection that's born of presence, which is a present we give everyone we love, right? Is born of presence, unclouded ultimately by past perspectives and conditioning. That's what our goal is, right? To get to a place of presence that's unclouded by past perspectives and conditioning. We are being invited to tap into creativity in its purest form. Sometimes its purest form isn't even articulate yet. It's not exploding with that human expression. The planets are really saying, get connected with the quantum pulse. Get connected with life's intelligence. Get connected with possibility thinking and imagination. It's this connection that is the truth of who we are, that promises to help us find the elegant answers to the challenges facing humanity today. To find these solutions, we have to serve the creative flow. It's kind of like we're miners, right? We're miners, and we've got one of those mining lamps on, and we're sorting through all these infinite possibilities in the creative flow to find out, what's in this flow, right? We're exploring what raw materials are here in this creative possibility flow, and how can we refine these? And of course, the first thing we're going to do to begin the process of refining this raw material is to tell a new story and to change our stories through the power of telling a story that's filled with new possibilities. So we might not land 100% on the right answer first time out the chute, but we certainly increase the possibilities that we're going to figure this out if we keep ourselves open to exploring the possibilities and stay open to the potential that a new story could begin the process of really changing things. So here's the other thing. If we let other people feed us stories, and this goes back to that focus piece, right? If we let other people feed us stories, then we forget to tell our own story. And then we fail at our job, basically. And of course, our job is to actively co-create with Source. And when we are distracted or anxious, or we're experiencing symptoms of not being in our right place, or we've lost connection with our own value, it makes us more vulnerable to buying into the limiting story of the past. So, there's a practice. Really, the planets are encouraging us to adopt a practice of saying, okay, first we got to shine a light on the truth, right? And then we have to, as part of our practice, consciously take care of the flow of life's intelligence, cosmic order, if you will, coming through us, which means part of what we have to do to retell or reframe our personal narrative is to get all the noise out of the environment. Stop reading the things that are causing you to doubt who you are, including, social media. Get off any place where you're getting distracted by information that isn't even true about who you are or what you want or what you need. Get back in touch with who you are, the core essence of your cosmic self, and then write a narrative from that place. Write a story from that place so that we can begin adding new potentials into the world that supersede the noise of the collective. So, bottom line, turn off your media. Create space in your life for creativity and deep work. Get out your pens, your paint, your markers, and start creating a new narrative. You don't have to do this with a story necessarily. You can do it with a piece of art. But art changes everything. We see that in the chart. That's the 3955, 1222. It's a mutative energy. You can dance it, sing it, write poetry about it, but you have to unplug from the stories that have us mesmerized with the lie that we're stuck, broken, and blocked, and doomed. Because we're not. We are infinitely creative, and the future of the world lies in our hands. So that's our big picture perspective. That's the nodes and the outer planets. So taking a breath now, because hopefully that landed in a super powerful creative place for you. So let's talk about the energy of the week. So this week, as we explore the narratives of our lives, it sounds like the intro of a soap opera, right? These are the narratives of our lives. This week, we are pretty focused on relationship energy, and certainly our relationship energy comes into focus as a key component of our personal narrative. So this is a week where, when you're writing the story about your life and you're looking at, relationships, which is our theme for the week, we get this impetus, if you will, from Saturn. So Saturn right now is sitting on the gate 19, the gate of attunement. This is an energy that's so vital that if an infant is raised without conscious presence, and a parent who is not connected to the emotional vibration of the child because they're distracted or worried or afraid or stressed, again, back to this ADD theme, the prefrontal cortex actually fails to develop properly. So this week, Saturn says we're sensing and feeling our partners, okay? And we are sensing and feeling whether our partnerships are truly intimate and emotionally honest. This exploration, by the way, we have been doing this work. Saturn has already been here this year. It just keeps coming back, right? This exploration invites us to deepen our emotional connection with our loved ones, or to release any partnerships that fail to support us. So, this is a big piece of, again, influencing right timing and divine timing. We influence timing when we have support. If you're having to create in spite of the people in your life, if the people in your life are presenting obstacle courses, instead of experiencing, the feeling of hands on your back, people who can stand in the gap with you when you struggle with your faith on those days when you struggle with your faith, if you've got that kind of support, it's going to expedite your creative process and your ability to bring things into form. So Venus and Mars this week, also two planets that oftentimes give us relationship themes, are highlighting the gate 29, the gate of devotion. So we're also, in the context of this Saturn emotional attunement, exploring our commitments and asking ourselves whether we are discovering what and who we want to devote ourselves to, and whether we can sustain these relationships or whether we can sustain our devotion. So, we're really asking ourselves, what are our commitments about? And that's, of course, relationships, but other things in your life too. So, the gate 29 teaches us to learn to say no. And it's hard. I have this gate. This is my conscious sun gate, right? Saying no is extremely difficult. But, we have to say no, because we can't say yes to what we want to say yes to if we haven't learned to say no to the things we want to say no to. If your plate gets too full because you forgot to say no, you can't devote yourself to what you really want to devote to. So it invites us to get discerning about our relationships and about our commitments. So if you compromise on this is also a place in the chart. This is the top right-hand side of the sacral center, one of the big places in the chart where burnout lives. So it actually can be depleting and cause us to burn out if we are so busy fulfilling the expectations of others at a cost to our own desires. So again, this big exploration about Saturn says, is your relationship a reflection of your value? Or is your relationship reflecting your values? How committed are you to it? Is that commitment healthy? Or is that commitment causing you to have to say no to your own desires? And are your relationships bogging you down or lifting you up? And that's a big part of the narrative that we're being invited to explore this week. And of course, with the sun this week in the gate 56, the gate of expansion, we're also learning to cultivate the ability to share stories and inspirations as a way of expanding possibilities and possibility-oriented thinking in ourselves first, and of course in others. So this is a really stimulating energy. It's an energy that stimulates emotional responses in response to the narratives we tell. And those emotional responses hopefully are consciously crafting cycles of evolution and growth. And of course, you can't do this for other people. You can't inspire other people with your stories unless you've inspired yourself first. Unless the story you're telling for yourself first is inspiring to you, is possibility-oriented to you, is expanding your own sense of what's possible in your own life first. So that's our sun. This week, everything about the sun is focused on narrative storytelling, cracking our perspectives open, breaking free from old patterns of the past, engaging in the idea that there could be other possibilities for us, and especially looking at that through the lens of narrative and storytelling in particular. So last thing for this week, and this is the thing, if you don't take anything away other than these two ideas, the first idea being, write a darn good story about your life. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is this. The earth this week grounds us in the gate 60, the gate of conservation, reminding us that you can't change a situation that you're actively hating. So if you're looking at your relationships and you're like, I hate it, it's not working, he's a jerk, blah, blah, blah. If this is your mindset, you can't change that. That's going to keep you stuck in it. Okay? Focus creates. Focus creates. And when you focus on how much you hate something or someone, you run the risk of creating more and more of it. Okay? So the gate 60 is really one of the places where gratitude lives in the chart. So we're grounded this week when we're grateful. So it's great. Gratitude is actually the gateway to innovation. Think about that for a minute. if you want to change something, if you want to innovate something, you have to start first with gratitude. You have to first look at, okay, what is working? What do we love? And how do we stay in gratitude for all that we have? And it's really interesting. Some of you may have had this experience. I know this always astonishes me. In my relationships in particular, it's always so fascinating to me how quickly somebody can change when we shift our perspective to what do you love about them instead of what annoys the heck out of you. If you can really sit with someone, not even literally if you're too mad at them or too annoyed by them, sit somewhere quietly and just make a list of everything you love and appreciate about them, it's fascinating how quickly their behavior changes. Right? Is it their behavior that changes, or did your perspective change? We can't change a situation that we're actively hating. And so I really want to encourage you strongly this week that you take stock of all the goodness in your life as a foundational aspect of rewriting your narrative. Find the things that are working. Find the things that are good. Find the things that you do love, even if they're tiny, tiny cracks in a sea, or in a wall of stuff you hate, in a wall of an energy that leaves you feeling quagmired and stuck. Find the opening. Find the smallest of openings, even if it's just, a little pinhole. Find that opening and point your gratitude towards it, because that gratitude will blast it open. That appreciation and focus on what is working and what is right, because focus creates, will start to shift the wall. We'll start to change the energy. We'll start to break apart the dynamics of the old patterns. It doesn't mean you don't have to do other work in conjunction with it, but it's the best place to start, because then you're starting from an energy that is expansive and possibility-oriented and not dense and heavy and frustrated and angry. So, 2 things, summing it up. Write a good story. Write a darn good story. And find the things in your life that are working, that you do love, that inspire you, that lift you up, that makes you feel excited and dynamic and hope-filled and eager and anticipatory, and be grateful for them. Find the things you are grateful for, because that gratitude creates. Period. The end. So, all right, that's it for this week. Woo, I made it through in 43 minutes. Also, just a quick reminder, resetting the room here for a second. If you go to my Clubhouse page, KarenCurryParker.club, there is a written version of this report, plus a video that goes along with it. Plus, while you're there, sign up for our 7-day self-love challenge. If you missed the Clubhouse presentations for the challenge, there are video recordings of the 7 days of the challenge, or there's 6 days posted there right now. Plus, you'll get access to the workbook that goes along with it. The video replays will be up until Friday. And if you join our Quantum Human Design Online Forum membership at the annual level this week until Friday, you will, in addition to obviously getting thousands of hours of human design courses about relationships and sex and sleep and health and wellness and parenting and intuition and consciousness and alchemy and manifesting and money and all of that kind of good stuff, you'll also get a $200 off coupon for our International Human Design Conference featuring Richard Rudd, Chetan Parkin, Kim Gold, Rosie Aronson, our own Robin Wynn, who I think is here in the audience, Evelyn Levinson, Alana Heim, Amber Clements, Brynja Magnuson. Am I forgetting anybody, you guys? Cindy, am I forgetting anybody?
I think you got them all. I mean, okay. You're going to be there.
I'll be there. I will be there. I already got my dress picked out. So yeah, I'll be there.
And interesting, you were going to, if they're members and they attend live, you were going to do a special coffee with them at the.
That's right.
And for those members that are attending virtual, we're not going to leave you out, but it might be after conference that we'll get to have a virtual coffee.
Yes, or tequila. So,
or tequila.
Yes. So if you join us,
we forgot Betsy. Betsy will be there. I know you mentioned
Betsy will be there.
Betsy will be there, yes.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, Betsy.
Yes, I'll be there. I'm excited. No, it's okay.
Sunday morning, Betsy will be leading us through a Master Alignment Program session, and she'll be teaching you how to tap and tapping with you using the EFT, the Emotional Freedom Techniques, and showing you how to use flower essences that Jamie makes. Jamie makes custom blended flower essences for the human design chart and for the resiliency keys that we work on when we use the quantum alignment system. So lots and lots and lots and lots of good stuff at conference. So go to the KarenCurryParker.club page and get all the links and learn more about what we've got coming up for you guys. So, all right, I think we have time. If you guys want to hop up here, if anybody has we have time for like 2 quick questions. So raise your hand and we'll bring you up here on stage if you want to share with us where you're at, how you're doing.
So maybe they want to use their narrative, use that Gate 56 energy to come on.
Yeah.
Do their narrative.
Share your narrative, and we'll cheer you on up here. We'll be emotionally attuned with our Gate 19s activated by Saturn, and we'll put our hands on your back and lift you up.
And just a reminder, we are recording this, so don't come up if you don't want to be recorded.
Yes, if you don't want to be recorded, please don't come up. So, good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. Oh, I am so awesome. Your voice is such a sunshine to me, and I imagine to many others. And I've been on the 7-day challenge, and I've really enjoyed it. And so I wanted to say thank you for setting a trailblazer with how you're sharing the word. Just the word. It just fuels me. I've got all these gates that you've mentioned and for this week, and I was just curious about the gate that I have in my Chiron, because that's where I am, and I don't know if it's appropriate to ask that question about Chiron.
Of course. So first of all, Rebecca, thank you so much for your sweet words. I so appreciate it, and I'm so glad you're enjoying the challenge. It's really been fun, and such a, we all set because everybody on the team has been part of it, and we just all really set our intention last Monday to just unleash an explosion wave of love all over the planet with this work. So thank you. So tell me about your Chiron. What gate is your Chiron Hylon?
Right. Well, my Chiron in my unconscious is in the gate 55, and in the conscious is in the gate 30. And so I don't know if the lines make a difference to this. In the unconscious, it's in the line 4, and the conscious, it's in the line 5. So I feel like there's a call somewhere. I feel really drawn towards the collective, and so writing the right narrative for me is so important.
So your Chiron has two really powerful aspects to it. The first aspect to it is that your personal lesson that your Chiron brings you is your Chiron says you've got to cultivate a strong enough narrative that you are able to stay and hold the frequency of faith with it, and that you don't burn yourself out trying to force, push, shove, etc., in the process of creating what you seek to create in the world. So you do this delicate dance in your Chiron between the 55 and the 30, between pushing too hard and burning out, and letting go and learning how to trust and have faith. That's your personal challenge with your Chiron. Now, when you master that, which is, of course, what happens as we mature, thank God, right? Your Chiron then becomes your spiritual purpose and part of what you're here to teach. So your Chiron in the 55 says you're here to teach faith, and you're here to teach people how to have enough faith to trust and follow their passion, and to not compromise on their passion because they're too afraid that it won't happen or it won't come true. And of course, that's also been probably a lesson for you as well.
Thank you so much. That's exactly how I feel. I'm on I'm moving into a new chapter where it requires a lot of faith, and I'm very diligent about that. I do have my down moments. However, when I follow a tribe of people led by you, Karen, I just feel I'm back on track. So thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Well, I am so, the more of us who can embody that energy, Rebecca, the more of us who can live in faith and create with faith, the more we add that energy to the whole. And right now, without getting too deep into the details, because I know we're short on time, but, we are in a cycle right now where a big part of what we are learning to do collectively is to create with faith. Even if we don't see the evidence yet, we've got to have faith that there are elegant solutions to the challenges facing us, and learning how to hold the vision and the energy and the narrative for the ultimate fulfillment of that vision is part of us learning or having, remembering our innate creative capacity. And the more of us who can stand in faith and create in faith and follow our passion and stay aligned with the truth of who we are, the more we can continue to create that on the planet. So you're doing exactly what you need to do, and we all thank you for doing that. And I'm speaking for my team, but I'll say we all have our hands on your back and really appreciate your willingness to show up. And thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Stephanie, welcome. I'm trying to read what your thing says.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Hold on, wait, let me read it says, because of your smile, you make life more beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful, Stephanie.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. So I love listening to this report. I usually get your emails and just listen to you there, but it's nice to hear you live. I have a question about as far as this week. I know that you're saying that you're doing a self-love challenge, and I love that because the affirmations that I've been writing over and over is I now live my life in self-love. But I'm curious if you or any of the other ladies have an affirmation or like a specific focus that would be good to just, repeat, or just to kind of really integrate everything that is going on right here and now.
Well, I can certainly find one. So do you want a self-love one, or do you want one just for this week?
Just for this week. I'm just curious what intuitively comes up for you guys.
Hang on a second. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. So this week we have as an affirmation, I am a divine storyteller. The stories of possibility that I share have the power to inspire others to grow and expand. I use my words as a template for possibility and expansion for the world. I inspire the world with my words.
I love that. Can you repeat that just one more time? Thank you.
Totally. I am a divine storyteller. The stories of possibility that I share have the power to inspire others to grow and expand. I use my words as a template for possibility and expansion for the world. I inspire the world with my words.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I think on that note, we'll just let you all float out of here with the reconnection, hopefully, to the memory that you cultivate this week to your innate creative power, and that realization that you are as powerful as the story you tell about who you are. So, as I said, tell a darn good story this week and always. Have a great week, you guys. Thank you, Jamila, Kristen, Betsy, Cindy, for always holding the room. And take good care of yourselves. I'll talk to you tonight at 7 p.m. and we'll be going through how to interpret life purpose in your chart here on Clubhouse.